Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be working on this Westinghouse WH2000 inverter, and we possibly have a blown engine. Recoil is all the way stuck, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to take it apart and find out. Hopefully nothing is 100% destroyed in this thing, but we're going to find out, so let's get into it. Okay guys, let's look at this inverter here. Now these inverters, they're a pain in the butt to take apart, I'm telling you. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we got some Phillips screws up in here. We are going to have to remove the gas cap. Once we remove the gas cap, we can take this whole thing off. Okay, now what we do is we don't lose any of the screws. We get our magnetic tray. That's where we're going to put all our screws. Now, let's make sure we can see this, the back end here. We just got some Phillips screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, one's missing. And this would be 6. Put that aside. Now that we got that part off, we're going to switch it to this side, which we got another screw missing. Let's see if we can see this. We can, good. So now there's 4 here. Today, there's 3. Put that aside. Now this cover should come off. Oh, no, we got some bottom ones. They like to hide the screws all over on this thing, I tell you. I don't know if we're going to have to remove that oil fill area or not. We probably won't need to. Okay, there we go. First side panel off. Now we can get in here, and as you guys can see, we got the carburetor, we got the valve cover, we got the main engine. But what we want to get this front side off where the starter is. So we got some more screws right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, one of the reasons I don't like working on these inverters is you got to dismantle the whole thing. And that is not fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to check and see what is holding all this on, which it seems to be mainly just a recoil. Okay, so what we're going to do actually is we're going to remove the spark plug, so we're going to switch on over here. We're going to pull this off, and we're going to see what we need to get down deep in there. Let's look at my tool drawer here. Okay, let's remove this spark plug. Okay guys, I just want to see if maybe we can spray some oil in there and see if we can't pull that rope so we don't have to take that side off. A lot of wiring and other stuff in there. So we will find out. Let's look at that spark plug. See if we can't pull the rope. Nothing. So we are going to put some WD-40 in there. We are going to let that sit for a second while I figure out how to get this front panel off. So give me a minute and I'll be right back. Guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this gas tank here. Now we're actually going to remove it from inside here. And now that the gas tank is off, we can put the cap back on. Nothing leaks. I've never worked on a Westinghouse inverter before, so this is new. Okay, now we're going to put the gas tank aside, make sure it doesn't leak. There we go. Okay, let's see what we can see in here. Okay, now we're going to remove this choke lever here. Just loosen, don't remove this choke lever. Loosen. Oh, there it goes. Came off anyways. That is fine. Not a big deal. So we'll remove that for a minute. Put it all back on. Okay. Well, we can see we got a vacuum line here. Oh no, that's a fuel line. So what we'll do is we'll remove the fuel line from the carburetor end. We got one of these push clamps here. There we go. Now, all I think is left is this wiring. Storing my lamps, looking for a 10 millimeter. There we go. Okay. There's one loose. You don't want to end up making this a puzzle piece. That's what I'm afraid of. Turning this whole thing into some kind of puzzle. Okay, down here is the second one, or the third one, depending on what order you're doing this in. Of course, on these inverters, they're so compact. But they're good for power and they're good for quiet and they're efficient. So some give, some take, some pros, some cons. However you want to say it. Okay, almost off. There we go. It's down. That's off. Lost the screw. Oh, shit, we'll get it out in a second. Okay, now we're gonna figure out how to get this one down here. All this electronics in the way. Okay, it looks like we can remove two Phillips here, holding on this heat sink with electronics. Again, you always want to try to avoid puzzles, but you know, sometimes we gotta make room. And now I can get in here and get this other nut off. Oh, there we go. Good news is, though, is that if you know how to work on these, they're a pretty nice payday. Just because of all the technical mumbo jumbo you gotta do with them, and all the hoops you gotta jump through. We're just hoping and praying we could free this up. That's the main thing. Save some money, you know, because at some point you're like, okay, well, just replace the dang machine, because it's not worth fixing. But bear with me, we'll do a little repair on this one. Okay, now that we got the recoil off, what I want to check now is actually, matter of fact, what I'll do is I'm going to take my 10 millimeter here. I'm going to remove this carburetor housing. Just so we can move that whole thing out of the way there. Bam. Okay, now let's check if this recoil it's not the recoil. No, recoil goes all the way out. So it goes right there and clocks, right there and clocks. Let's go back down. It's clocking right there. So, yeah, something's jamming up right there. So as you can see, I just slid the carburetor off real quick. We're going to get to this valve cover, see if anything's wrong in there, and then we're going to try to remove the head on this. So let's start with the valve cover, 4 10 millimeter bolts right there. Bam, done. If you guys ever hear me say nuts and bolts, I get those confused all the time. It's not. Oh, geez, okay. So, now what I want to do is, now that we got that off, let's see if we can see in there. Let's move this. Oh, look, we got one stuck. So that could be why we're jamming up. Let's see if we can't free that up. somehow, some way. We'll spray some penetrating lube on both sides. And now I want to see if that spring even compresses. Okay. No, we're still jamming up. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. That's off. That's off right there. So let's see if we can't push that in, get that up. Oh, now it's raining. Oh no, guys, I think something might be destroyed in the engine. Let's push that in and get that rod off, pull it out, look at it. Shoot. Okay, let's try to remove the whole head assembly here. Looks like I'm going to have to, at least even if we can't fix it, we're gonna figure out what's wrong with it. A lot of buildup in this inverter too, as the same as the last one that I did. But at least this one has all the lappers for the rod here. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to remove a bunch of stuff here. Good God, these inverters are a pain. Okay, so what we want to do is, if you guys ever want to skip ahead and don't want to see me dismantling some of the side stuff, there'll be time codes below. Well, we're going to remove the exhaust cover here. Okay, now we're going to remove the actual exhaust, which I believe, if they're like all exhaust, it's either going to be a 10, 11, or a 12. Yeah, it's a 10. And this thing looks like it's been in some water, been out in the rain. Oh, this is a dual exhaust system here, so now, if you guys can see down here, we got a bottom cover right down here, which we also got to remove. Okay, now that we're down here, we got a few more 10mm bolts for the full exhaust, and that should be off. one down there. Bam, there we go, dual exhaust. That's what makes these things really quiet. First exhaust goes in here, second through there. Yeah, these things are pretty quiet. Okay, so now we got all that off. Like I said, this thing's becoming a puzzle. We're gonna remove the cover, the rest of the cover. There's that. And holding on this plastic, there's 2 more 10 millimeters. Good news is, so far all you need to do is a 10 millimeter of Phillips. Pretty much take this whole machine apart, which we ended up doing anyways. Okay, now we got, I don't know if I need to pick up all this, but we're gonna find out. So I got a few Phillips on this side. Move that choke out of the way. Now that plastic should come off there. As you can see here, for the head, we got 2 10 millimeter bolts on the top there. Put these head bolts with the other head bolts. Keep those together. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to separate that. And to make this easier, I'm gonna have to unscrew these 2 bolts here. That way I don't have to remove this whole plastic assembly. So the best way to do that I found, if someone finds a better way, let me know for sure. Comment below if you know a better way to remove these. I just take vice grips, clip them on there real tight, get them real loose, and then unscrew them by hand. They're coming off nice and easy. Could have been easier. Now we're going to be able to remove this head and see what's jamming this up. Good news is most of the time you can just do this at home yourself. It's not terribly hard work. There we go, broke it free. Sometimes you gotta jiggle it back and forth to break it free. But other than that, never put it on the threads either. You don't want to damage those threads. You can always smooth out this part, but the threads, you don't want to have to rethread that. They'll never be the same. Well, at least me doing this loosened up the head a little bit, so it's not going to be a pain in the butt to get off. They definitely make these where you're not supposed to do it yourself. You're supposed to take it to a shop and have them charge you an arm and a leg to get it fixed. So that's why I made my channel, to show you how to do it yourself. You know, what to look for, what to find out, you know. That's why I don't use a lot of my fancy tools on my videos, because not everybody can afford them or have them. Come on. There we go. Okay. Let's get to this head removal here. Turn this. And looky there. What is that? It looks like muffler steel wool screen for the exhaust, but I don't know. Okay. Let's get that oil I put in there out. But now look, now it's coming back up and down. It's spinning. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, it's spinning now. So what I think is, oh yeah, this valve is bent. So that push rod got bent in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this top dead center here. And I'm actually going to see if the exhaust valve on that Win is the same one. So give me a second, I'll be right back with that. Okay guys, so I went ahead and cleaned off the piston head here of all the carbon. I think I found a valve that'll work. Cleaned off all the carbon out of there. So now what I want to do is I want to put it at least all back together here. Well, let me find the gasket. There it is. Yeah, I want to put it all back together, and I want to see if those valves actuate. Make sure the new one I put in is actually going to work. If not, it was all for naught. Because I found a rebuild kit, but the customer does not want to pay the $270 for the whole rebuild kit. I could not just find the valves on anywhere. But we're gonna see if we can't make this thing work. Okay, so there's that. Let's pop on these two bolts here. I had old Yamaha inverter. I think that's what it was. I'll torque these down in a second. For now, I just want to make sure that everything actuates. So in, push rod down, one, push rod number 2. And it's not moving at all. Oh, there we go. Come on. Yes. It's actuating now, fellas. There we go. I think it could be adjusted a little bit, but we're going to find out if this machine runs now. That's the main thing. We can adjust it if it doesn't. So, now what I'm going to do is, since it'll be a long video and rewind of me putting this whole bad mamma jamma back together, I'm just going to put it back together and then torque everything down, and we're going to kick the camera back on and see if it runs. So, I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay guys, moment of truth. Choke out, switch on. Let me get my test lamp. Okay, we went from start to finish on this. Found out why the engine was seized was because of bent exhaust valve. Oh, I don't know why. I think it just failed on its own. But we found a valve from an old part. That's why you always keep everything you ever get. You always keep it. You never know when you're going to use it. Put the valve on, cleaned it up, fired her up. Now the customer's really happy and saved a lot of money from having to buy a whole rebuild kit for just replacing the valve. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see anything else, let me know. Have a good day. Bye.